Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Woohoo! Everybody, party. Welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Megan.
Hi.
As y'all just heard from the ad that played before this, which I believe was our voices, as it should be, please take the survey that we were just talking about. The link is in the show notes.
I'm going to tell you right now, I took the survey. I didn't submit it, but I just wanted to answer the fun questions about me because I love like a little quiz. I love talking about myself. I love the attention. And I'm telling you right now, if you're someone who loves a little quiz like that, you love to feel special and important, this is gonna scratch that itch for you.
Yeah, I had to QC it, so I took it. And there was a mistake, so went back and fixed it.
Good. That's good at your job. Crushing it, killing it, amazing. So we appreciate everyone who has also already done it. Thank you. People were very prompt and swift.
All right. So welcome to a brand new episode of Don't Blame Me, a show where y'all call in and then we give you advice.
Is it wonderful advice? Yeah. Is it amazing? Of course. Is it life-changing? Potentially. But is it something that you could hold against us in a court of law?
Absolutely not.
We did our due diligence. We planned. Don't blame us. You can blame yourself or pick someone else to blame.
There's
Chris
so many.
Pratt, go for it.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis, go for it.
Good ones. Good ones.
Those
Megan.
are like ones that I feel like solid, constantly will always be at fault for something.
Mm-hmm. You know who a big one is right now?
What?
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Because honestly, some things that you might have an issue with might be actually his fault.
No, legitimately. Like personal attack.
Yeah.
So much time on their hands and so much chaos and destruction to commit.
Yeah. Just evil. Evil.
It feels like it's being directed by Michael Bay.
Yeah, and I don't even like Michael Bay, but I don't think he would be that evil.
No, but like Michael Bay's like unnecessarily stressful and loud, and like in like the sense of like there's just you're like, oh my god, too much going on, sensory overload. Like, can we dial it back? And it's like, no.
Did you ever see that Victoria's Secret commercial that Michael Bay shot?
No, but there's one that is immediately popping into my head going, probably that was the one that he shot.
When they're like jumping out of planes and they're exploding and stuff. Yes, that is a Michael Bay production.
Melissa, that is so funny because I forgot that even existed until you said it. And who else could have directed that?
Exactly.
Who else could have made that? That was not an Annie Leibovitz production. No one was in grayscale.
I go to the movies sometimes, and when I go, there's commercials before, and there'll be like one where it's just somebody driving a car down the street, and they'll be like, directed by Guy Ritchie. And I said, yeah, it feels like it.
What the fuck? You know what? They're getting paid. I would just love to get to a point where like
I do the bare minimum.
Like yeah, I do the bare minimum and something that is like literally so off brand for like what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm like bringing my essence to it and they're paying an exorbitant amount of money and it's not going to translate well at all, but like who cares? I get the fucking paycheck.
Like who cares if Guy Ritchie directed this, but
literally
he
nobody
got paid.
And so much more than they would have had to spend for anyone else doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like, it's bringing a sort of gravitas to this Lincoln commercial with Matthew McConaughey. I can't stand this. Like, I literally like get out disproportionately irate at those fucking commercials.
I don't, and you want to know why? And you're gonna be like, yell at me why? Because Matthew McConaughey's voice is so sexy.
No, it's like the exact opposite for me.
No,
like,
it's so sexy.
I just can't. I'm like, speak up. Like, it's like that tweet of being like, men in Los Angeles, stop trying to be influencers. We need gaffers. These movies are, these TV shows are too goddamn dark. That's how I feel. And I'm like, someone turn up the fucking volume. I cannot hear you. Like, it's like this very low register where I'm like, get this man a cough drop and a microphone.
No, that's just like the Southern drawl.
Well, ADHD, I don't know how anybody in the South can function with it. Like, bless your heart. No, but like the cadence of things talking. So I would become violent. Like I can't, when someone's talking too slow, I will literally be like, Mott, you have to speed it up. Like you have to, I can't keep following.
But there's also like, you talk so fast sometimes and I have to be like, Megan, slow the fuck down.
I know. It's tough. Well, I'm happy that, you know, he's for you. I will never encroach on.
I mean, I don't want him as a person, but his voice is sexy. I would say like How to Lose a Guy. That was peak hotness for Matthew McConaughey.
Fool's Gold was way. I think
that one was a little too dirty for me.
Oh yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah. I like, you know,
like the diamonds, and I'm like, no, the bare feet in the sand.
Go frost yourself.
Unwashed hair. Yeah, no, I love a treasure hunt.
Yeah, you do, and I love diamonds. So,
and I love a tiny titty representation moment. She's got tiny titties in that movie.
So does it's both.
No, I know, but they're giving her some. No, they're patting Kate Hudson and How to Lose.
No. I was gonna say Kate Hudson also has, but I was like, it's the same person.
Yeah. But she had like, they were patting her in some of those dresses. They're like, you know, they're trying to give you. No, they threw her in a full on fucking bikini. Nobody gave her some chicken cutlets, and she was just around with her tiny titties. And I was like, I love to see it.
I finally watched Knives Out this weekend.
What'd you think?
Spectacular.
Kate
Evans? Hudson.
Oh, the new one.
No, the new one.
Okay.
I've seen the other one.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that. You've like
seen
3 times.
Before me.
Yeah. But
Kate Hudson. Glass Onion.
Kate Hudson being Kate Hudson. That's my favorite version of her. Like when she was on Glee, Kate Hudson being Kate Hudson, like love her, adore her.
After watching Glass Onion, she shot up to the top of my top 5 Nepo babies. Like she's a Nepo baby doing what a Nepo baby does. The outfits, oh my gosh,
posing,
the whole thing. It was so funny. How do you feel about the beginning of the movie? Because I really fucking hated the weird COVID Zoom thing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was one of the things that I thought was like funny, but it was still, you know, like it was still because the whole movie as a commentary. And so I think that it added to the commentary.
I know.
And
I just feel like that was not the initial first scene. I felt like there was something else. Like, it just felt like it was missing one thing for me, and I don't know what it was.
But it wrapped it back in when they got to the dock and then shot the thing in their throats. That was like the cure, because that added to like rich people can do whatever they want because they have access to these things.
Yeah. And the whole, I mean, if anybody is a spoiler of this movie's been out for a while. But like the whole commentary of who's wearing a mask and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, okay.
And then she shows up with a lace mask on.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, Nikita Dragon. Like, it was good.
But she's so good. And Janelle Monáe has been my favorite since the moment that I heard one of her songs. And since then, and then she started acting, I was like, she's perfect. I love her. Like, great, wonderful, love it.
And I had such high expectations for her because everyone was saying that she like stole it and she was so fucking good. And I was like, oh no. Like, when you get all of those accolades before everyone's seen it, then it's always gonna be a disappointment. No, she was better. She was better than everybody said she was.
Yes. And I'm in the camp of like, people said like she stole it, but it's her story. So it was like she ran it. It wasn't a stolen. She ran the thing, the production. Like, she was great. Phenomenal, wonderful, dynamite. My friend Avia, who I feel like I've now talked about her on every one of these episodes now.
Avia's becoming like me to my neighbors.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't get it, and she's like, I didn't like it, and then I explained to her, and she's like, all that went over my fucking head, and
she's like, now I have to watch it again.
Yes, and she's like, now I get it, and I like it.
Yeah, it was. I thought
she didn't say fucking. She's not a cursor like me. I just add a little flair. I don't want to put that on her name. Yeah, I don't want to put that on her.
I do that with Maz's mom all the time. And I'm like, okay, she didn't actually say that. But I'm like, it was the essence. It was the vibe. Wow. Now I want to watch it again. Yeah. I want them to make a new one every day.
Like, I need you to watch Poker Face because it's same vibes.
Oh, yeah.
The TV show.
Yeah.
But we'll
watch it.
I think 8 episodes of it. So, and they're over an hour long, each one of them. So it's like done? A movie. Yeah.
Is it over? Oh, okay. Then
it's
we can
over.
Start.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. We're now in our office phase because I told Mott's that he needed to start watching more happy things. Which, speaking of Matthew McConaughey, he always reads like really fucking depressing books, and I'm like, Mott's like, stop getting all of your recommendations from like essentially like white men with an existential crisis. Read this book to like think about how doomed the world is. I'm like, let's get you some fun, lighthearted. Like, I was like, do you want to read like beach? I was like, is there like a beach read kind of like equivalent?
I feel like he would love Obama's reading list.
Oh, that's
and
a good
it has
point.
a mix of things. Yeah, it has a mix of stuff on it because I've directed a couple of the audiobooks that have landed on his list. So yeah. And so I think he would like, because he releases it at the end of every year. So just give him the one from last year.
I'm gonna comb through it and find all of the happy books. And
actually, I think he does one for every season. So
no, you're right. I
think
the
summer one should be coming. Yeah, the summer one should be coming out soon.
He did his summer playlist, and Meg the Stallion was on it, and it was a cultural moment that was very important. And I was like looking for like uplifting books or like books like happy, fun books, like lighthearted, fun books. Mm-hmm. And you know what fucking came up and suggested that I was like, Matthew McConaughey's book.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I don't want self-help books. And I'm like, well, it's not a self-help book. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want like a collection of like tweets.
What is it about?
It's like a collection of tweets, I think.
Oh.
I think.
Okay. Is he on Twitter?
No.
It's like other people's tweets?
It's like him being a philosopher in like 160 characters or less, I think. You know what? I might be lying. What's his name? Matthew McConaughey, not Matthew Morrison.
You said McConaughey. Or did you type it?
I know, but I was
Morrison?
trying to type it in. I couldn't remember. I only saw people roasting it online. It's called Green Lights. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller. Oh, it's a memoir. Oh, yeah. So popular highlights in this book. We cannot fully appreciate the light without the shadows. We have to be thrown off balance to find our footing. It's better to jump than fall. And here I am. Stepping in shit is inevitable. So let's either see it as good luck or figure out how to do it less often. I never wrote down things to remember. I always wrote down.
Say less.
It's just like, it just gives me pause, you know? Anyways.
As you see, I've physically paused. So, okay.
Welcome to us giving you advice. We're going to give you some advice, and if you would like to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meganpodcast@gmail.com. We do require that you keep both versions, audio message or voicemail, under 3 minutes. You have to. You will get cut off. And you are 18 or over, have your parents' permission, and write everything down. Read it out loud, time it, make sure it's under 3 minutes, practice a couple times. Do a little a dress rehearsal, some run-throughs before you get to the opening night, the big show. And we so appreciate it, because the more details you include, the best call, like the better version of the call that will be. And then we can give you the best and most accurate advice, because we need all that good info.
This is true. That's my input. Let's take a break.
We're back from our break, and this is a perfect time before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode to let you know that we're on Patreon. You can watch a video version of the podcast. I fully forgot this whole time that we are recording a video, so I cannot be held accountable for any of the facial expressions or movements that I've been doing. And you can also support the show that way. Keep our lights on.
Oh, yeah. Because Megan's might shut off during this.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really afraid.
Hi, me and my boyfriend were both 19 years old. We met in college. We've been dating for 6 months. So for backstory, my mom is an alcoholic and she's been drinking for as long as I can remember. Because of that, I have decided to stay sober until I have the ability to emotionally regulate and just good coping skills. My boyfriend, he doesn't have any alcoholism in his family. However, he doesn't drink often. In the 6 months we've been dating, I've only known him to drink twice. My issue is, despite the fact he rarely drinks, I still get incredibly uncomfortable knowing he does. I've told him to text me before he drinks and then ghost me until he gets sober, efforts to put up a boundary, but I still get stressed and overwhelmed knowing he's about to drink. I know I can't control his actions or anything, and I don't want to. I would like advice on what other options of boundaries I have, though. Should I just ignore the fact he drinks and be grateful that it's so rare? Should I keep doing what we're doing and hope it works out? I just don't know. I kind of suck at putting up boundaries. Some other information that I don't know if it's relevant or not. I'm in therapy. We've kind of been working on it, but there's a lot to work on. The times he does drink, he drinks very little. Like the first time, it's only like half a shot. So not a big issue, clearly, but it still causes a lot of anxiety. Oh, and I don't have anxiety. So, yeah, thanks for any help.
Wait, did she doesn't have anxiety?
I think she means in like an anxiety
generalized
disorder,
anxiety?
but she's anxious when he drinks.
Okay.
I think that's what she meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is very stressful. I feel for you. This is hard. So the thing with boundaries is I think you're on the right track where it's you can just only control the situations that you're in, not that other people are in. So if someone who's drinking it's you're allowed to have different deal breakers. So a pretty clear deal breaker for you and would is someone who is has a problem with alcohol or is a heavy drinker. But you can also you can also want to date someone who's sober and who doesn't drink at all and has no interest in that. That's also allowed. That's a thing you can want. It doesn't just have to be well, they don't have a problem with all. You're allowed to want to date someone who doesn't drink at all. The thing that can be hard with that is that that can also change at some point. And then it has to be something that it's not a moral failure if someone decides to change. It is a personal choice that someone has. and you're allowed, it's your personal choice to be in a relationship with someone if preferring to be like wanting to be with someone who doesn't drink. But I think like, I don't know that there's any additional boundaries that you can put up there. If these boundaries don't make you feel okay or good about it, I don't think you should just ignore those feelings, because I think that that's how problems continue to fester. And I don't want to use the term like rebelling, because like you're not like his parent, but sometimes it can feel when you are respecting your partner's boundaries, but they're still upset about it, and like that isn't good enough, that can lead to like a lot of resentment there. So I think just, it's been 6 months. Do any of your friends drink? Because I would wonder if like, do you have a similar feeling with that? Or is it just with romantic interest? Is it just with him? Like, have you felt that way with like other people that you've been friends with or dated? And I don't like being around people who are really drunk. I don't like being around people who are on like drugs at all. And I like for a bit thought like, oh, like, you know, I'm like out at a party or something. I'm like, this makes me like a really like bad friend or whatever. But I was like, oh no, I'm going to be an asshole because like, I'm going to hate you and I'm going to resent you. And like, that's actually has nothing to do with me. And so like, I then am a worse friend if I stay in a situation where I'm uncomfortable and it builds up resentment to somebody who like, this has nothing to do with them. And it's better for me to remove myself from that situation and those instances. Like I have friends who like suck when they're fucking drunk or high. Like they're just really fucking annoying. And I just don't hang out with them when they're like that. And I think that's already what you're doing, but it's like the anxiety of the unknown. So I think as long as there's like communication there with him, I think you just have to gauge, is this something that is the boundary you're going to be most comfortable with? Is that like you want to be with someone who also does not drink?
When I'll speak on it from my own experience, when I have alcoholism that runs in my family on both sides. And so like when I got to college, I kind of like rebelled and like, I'm going to drink as much as I can because I can. And I'm not, and like, I didn't say this to myself, but my thing is like, I can control if I'm an alcoholic or not, which is not the truth. Yeah. But when I got like out of college, I was like, okay, like I was out of that phase and I was done with it. Like I don't really drink that much anymore. And so like, I'm not comfortable being around people that drink a lot because of the way that like some of my family members act while they drink. Mm-hmm. And so I understand what you're going through, but I have like kind of like a different perspective on it. And so I understand like the boundaries you have, because now I wouldn't be with anybody that drinks a lot. But like what Meghan says, things change. And when I was in college, it was a completely different story. So if it makes you uncomfortable, like you're doing what you need to do, if it makes you uncomfortable, which it does, and you've expressed this to him and you've told him what your boundaries are, there's really not much else you can do. Like he can either respect their boundaries and follow them. And if that's enough for you, then cool. And if it's not enough for you, then this may not be the right partner for you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a tough thing to kind of navigate. And I just think that you're doing everything right in terms when it comes to boundaries. And I think you know that you're doing everything right. And you're wondering why it doesn't feel good. Like it doesn't feel like it's quelling any of that kind of anxieties and things like that. And boundaries are like a coping mechanism and something that like gets us through things that we have to get through. But sometimes like those boundaries there, it's an indicator of like, oh, if this isn't working, like there's no amount of boundaries will make something work that's not going to work, point blank. So
okay, all right, next call.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I love the podcast. I am a longtime listener and first-time caller. I am doing this over again because I messed up the first time, but I wrote everything down, so I'm good. I am a 22-year-old queer female using she, her pronouns, calling in for dating advice. I've never really dated anyone seriously. My first girlfriend was my best friend, and that kind of just happened accidentally, aka my gay awakening. It did end traumatically due to my religious mom at that time finding out and making me end it all. That was several years ago. Since then, I've done a lot of healing regarding my queerness and have dealt through that guilt and religious trauma. I'm really proud of my queerness now and even have a great queer friend group I love and feel safe in. I'm finally in a place where I feel ready to start dating, but don't have very much experience, and I'm nervous. Trigger warning as well with body image issues. I know, and with the religious trauma as well. I am a plus-size girl who has also struggled to be confident in my body and feel desirable most of my life. So that's definitely something that has me nervous going into dating as well. As much as I know and tell myself that I'm worthy of being loved and desired exactly as I am, that funny friend mentality always looms in the back of my mind. I'm tired of treating myself as the comedic relief in other people's lives, and I want to take myself seriously. I'm trying to build that confidence by telling myself that despite the fears I have, I am desirable and worthy of really being liked. And, I'm trying to worry more about if I like someone rather than if they like me, But yeah, there are just a lot of fears entering this new chapter of life, and I am really trying to be brave and challenge myself to get out of my head, which is honestly really hard for me. So yeah, if you guys have any wisdom or tips of really just, how to really get out there and really tips for new and inexperienced dater. I am really great at making friends and feeling confident in that department, but when it comes to flirting, I'm out of my element. Any tips to even transfer what I know about making friends into dating? How do I not friend zone myself? I am on dating apps and have a variety of unedited pictures to show me accurately, and I'm already talking to some girls but haven't met up with anyone because I am really scared. So yeah, please help. Also, I am a Capricorn Sun, Leo Moon, Cancer Rising. Thank you guys. You're the best and I love you. Bye.
I would watch a movie of this. This is a movie I want to watch.
Yeah, I can hear from your voice that you are hot. So
main character energy.
Own that.
Yeah, no. You're the star of this show. This is a movie starring you that I want to watch. You have it. Not to sound like modeling casting. You have the it factor.
You have the it factor.
You have it. Tyra would say the same fucking thing. You have it.
She said a lot of things in her life.
Sometimes she said too much.
So I just want to preface this by saying this advice is coming from two straight girls. So, anybody else, please write in, because people tell us that our straight showing when we're going a little too hetero.
I'm going to do my best to not go too hetero because, you're on dating apps, and we did learn the last time.
Yeah.
You could be on a dating app for a friend or dating, but it's clear that you're on these dating for dating. And you're putting it out there, but you don't want to get friend zoned. And before I would have said, well, how are you going to get friend zoned? It's a dating app. I'm course correcting my straightness there to say we have learned through this podcast that, you can meet people on dating apps as purely just friends from the get go. So first of all, I would say I don't think there's a massively huge difference between using that same kind of charisma that you have making friends that you have with dating. The difference between friends and dating in my personal experience and in is there an opposite of a romantic and asexual, or asexual, just sexual
or romantic.
You're right. When you say it and it's literally in the word, your face, you're like,
because A just means not negative away from.
It just
that's from me in medical terminology.
Okay.
When I took that back in high school.
Wow.
I can't believe I took a whole class called medical terminology, and it was just.
And you know what that brought you? To be a big Grey's Anatomy fan. So you watch and go, yeah, code blue. Got it. Got it.
It's not even stuff like that. It's like what I just
Hemoglobin?
said. Yeah. But you talk about what hemo means and what globin means. And then like you take those because you can mix because their prefixes are the suffix, and then you take those and you can come up with what the different thing is, like hyper or hypo. Tension is the other word, so you add to whichever one it goes to.
When I tell you that is my personal hell, I took grammar in college. You had to take it, and it was like that. And I was looking at them like they had grown 15 heads. I'm like, my brain legitimately cannot follow any of that. It's impressive though, and I'm glad for other people can, and they have this whole language, and I just can look and be like, wow, you are speaking a completely different language.
I mean, most of it is Latin anyway. So if you speak Latin, you're good.
I'll work on I gotta brush up. Get on my Duolingo, brush up my Latin. So in terms of like a sexual relationship, in like my mind, like a romantic relationship for me is like a sexual relationship. And so the only difference for me between a friend and a romantic partner is like, do I want to have sex with this person? Mm-hmm. Like, especially if you pride yourself on like having a really great group of friends, and specifically because it's a group of friends and you've been very intentional making them, I'm going to assume that these friends, like you all have a lot of similar morals, interests, values. And that is a huge core basis in dating and relationships. Like there really isn't a huge difference. For some people there is, because they're kind of like collector friends and they have like friends in all different like areas and all different like aspects of their life, and those friends serve different purposes, and like they're kind of more of a chameleon and they're different with their friends, and they're not holding all of their friends to the same standard or needing them to feel the same way about moral or political issues. But I'm not getting that vibe from you, especially if it's a group. There tends to be more of like a hive mind. We're all in a similar wavelength kind of thing. And that's really not different from romantic. Like that's just, well, if you fuck them, that's a little less friend, a little more sexual. So I think like the fear of getting friend zoned, at the worst case scenario, you end up with a friend, and like that's a cool, like that's fun.
But I wonder if that's part of the problem, because maybe there's friends in her friend group that she has wanted to be more than with, and then she got friend zoned, and so now she's a little trepidatious because of it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, Megan actually gave this advice to somebody that's in our Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I was really good, and it worked.
Yeah. So if you want to know what we're talking about, join our Patreon. But specifically, like what Megan said was like, because this person had a crush on their friend. And so Megan told them to give a hypothetical situation. What was it?
So they had like kind of like softballed their feelings and said like a while ago said that they had kind of like, you know, had a crush, but then like took it back. And that was like a while ago. So like the seeds had kind of been planted. And so they were at a party and I said, this is what you have to say. It's hypothetically, what would you say if I told you that that crush might not have fully gone away? And their response was like, and it also like, here's how I feel about hypotheticals. Full disclosure, Mutz fucking hates hypotheticals, but not these ones. If you ever heard him talk about hating hypotheticals when he's a guest on this podcast, it wasn't this. He hates when I'm like, if I was a worm, would you still love me? He's like, I fucking like, stop. Like, I am that person who's like, okay, if I dyed my eyebrows blue and if I wore a furry suit all the time, like, would you still love me? And I'd be like, okay, like hates those. But in like the hypothetical sense and like the flirting thing, it not only is able to like kind of protect your feelings in a way, because you can tell yourself like, well, it was a hypothetical. It wasn't real. So it doesn't really wreck the friendship, quote unquote wreck. I don't think it has to wreck a friendship, but it doesn't feel like a boombox on the shoulder kind of moment where it's like this grand act of romance that has a really high, if you're being rejected, it's a really big fall. Like it's kind of just like a little bit of a hint and a suggestion, and you can always take it back. And I think when you're on the receiving end of something like that, you're not thinking like, oh, wow, that was like a big love confession. Like you can also kind of have that same sort of mindset towards it. And the person like replied that they, they like that like made them happy and they like that, but like they're not at the point where they're wanting to date right now, but like they still want to like be in each other's lives. And it's very clear. It's like I see where it kind of goes in that sense, but there's something flirty about it. I think like just getting back into flirting and practicing flirting makes a lot of it a whole lot easier, because the flirting aspect of a friend, like if you're going to get quote unquote friend zone from someone who you're like actively flirting with and they're flirting back with you, that I'm just like snip, snip. Like that's just like you're wasting your time and that's not fun because you don't want a flirty friend, at least for me. Unless you're fucking, don't need the flirty friend. So I think like the dating apps is a good place to like practice those kinds of like fun flirty things. And like you can like try on different styles of like how you flirt. Like you don't have to be married to like one thing. Like you can just test it out and see what feels like the most like you.
I think also on the dating apps, you have to say what you're interested in and not like figuring it out or whatever like the prompts are, where it's just like, I'm here to hook up or make friends. If you want to be in a relationship, put that you want to be in a relationship, not just like, I don't know, or, what you don't, or like don't put anything, like, because some people just do that. So then they're forced to ask because some people are scared. And then also if you have the option, which usually if this is an option, you may have to pay like premium for, make it so that the people that you're matching with are only looking for relationships as well.
I didn't know that was like a feature you could pay for.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
all that shows up in your feed.
Yeah. I think like there's a really, a lot of the time, like we think of not wanting to come on too strong. So a lot of people won't say they're looking for a relationship because like, well, no, I'm not like desperate for a relationship, but like ultimately like that's where I'd like it to end up. And that's like what everyone means when they say that they're looking for a relationship. Like no one's like, I'm looking to cast my next significant other right now. Like, do you have a pulse? Like you're in. Great, amazing. Like I'm so desperate. Like that's not what that means. But a lot of people think that saying that they want a relationship comes across as desperate and being like, well, like we'll just like figure it out. That doesn't mean you're looking for a relationship. Figure it out means I'm actively not looking to be in a relationship. Like we have to prescribe the same amount of value to, if we're saying that looking for a relationship sounds desperate, like, okay, so on the flip side, then not looking for a relationship is like adamantly and actively like repelling any sort of relationship there. Like it's not, there's nothing desperate about it. And there are so many people who have the same thing listed and it's the same thing that they want. And then being upfront, like right off the bat, I think that's helpful. And also maybe I would also say, I don't know what your like social situations, like if you have like, you have experience of like Melissa said, like that you maybe have had feelings for someone in the group and they kind of got friend zoned. Even if you because you have such like a close circle of friends, it could be really exciting and like kind of want to like make it feel a little bit easier or a little less nerve wracking and invite them on like a big group thing. I would keep them separate for a bit. Like I wouldn't invite them to lots of things with your friends there until you've established that you're not just friends, because that can be confusing from your end, that you might think that you're bringing someone who you've been on a date with who you think is like really cool and you're interested in, and then you bring them around all of your friends. They might be like, oh, okay, I'm getting friend zoned. So making sure that you're also not doing anything that could be interpreted as like, oh, friend vibes. And the best thing, compliments. Something as simple as that, like letting someone like know that they look nice, you're like, you like something about them. Like my go-to automatic, like favorite kind of compliment to give someone, because it's my favorite kind of compliment to receive, is when someone gives you a compliment about something that you can control. Because like you can compliment me on my eyes and I'm like, okay, cool, genetics, compliment me on whatever. But when someone like compliments your style, or it's like, wow, I love like that, like that shirt with those shoes, like that's something that you chose. That's like a thing that you intended to do. You didn't just, it's not genetic lottery. It's something that's like, oh, how you styled your hair that day. Like those certain things, I think is a real marker of like someone who's paying attention. And I think it's a lot more romantic than someone complimenting you on like your looks. Like I feel more seen in that way.
I get that, but I wonder if in a non-hetero relationship, if that
Feels friend zoning?
Yeah, but feels friend zoning.
I wonder. Let us know.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
Every fucking week, we're learning. Constantly trying to learn. You should hear some of our old episodes. Had no clue. Absolutely no clue. But if you're a part of our Facebook group, I would also definitely recommend getting some input from anyone else. Don't blame them. People want to call in. But there's a lot of people who are very helpful in the areas that we don't have personal experience in.
Hi, Eminem. I'm a 24-year-old and I use they, them pronouns. I have a two-part question. I graduated from undergrad in 2021 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in painting, and I have known since middle school that I wanted to pursue a master's degree in painting as well. When I was in undergrad, I was dissuaded from going to the same school for my MFA, saying it's such a small program with few teachers. I should learn from new people in a new place, and I agreed. I have been applying to schools since I graduated and have either been rejected outright or I wasn't offered enough financial assistance to make moving out of state worth it. I can only speak for art programs, but I was told to not go to a school unless they offer a stipend, full tuition, and a paid student teacher position. I've begun considering going back to the school I got my undergrad from. I've been told the program has been overhauled with new classes, teachers, and was told by multiple teachers and current students that I would easily get in, and I believe that. The evil part of my brain keeps saying that I'm giving up on trying to move out of state, that I'm settling, that I'm taking the easiest route so I can be back in my comfort zone, which is academia. But I know that I would never feel that way about someone else if they came to me with this dilemma. And I don't really have a dream school or place to move regardless, and a master's degree is a master's degree, right? I would love your input. So part two, I just started, I'm 1 week into a new job in my field. I told my boss at my interview right after I got rejected from the most recent two schools that I'm looking at grad school, but it wouldn't be for another year at least. And at that time, I wasn't considering my old school, but now I am. The deadline to apply to this program is July. Should I tell my boss now that I'm thinking of applying or just wait until I get in? I have pretty flexible hours, and when I was an undergrad, I took 8 classes while working full-time, so I think I could definitely work while in school again, but I don't know if I'm being shitty if I just wait. Let me see how much time I have. Okay, great. I'm a Gemini. Thank you.
You had a whole minute left.
I love your energy.
Apply. You wanted to go to that school at first, and other people dissuaded you from going. So, apply to the school. A degree is a degree. You're going to go to the place that, like you said, it's been overhauled, so you don't run into the same problems where they were saying it was small and it would be the same teachers to learn from the same teachers again, but you're going to be learning from new people. Go for it and good luck. I know you'll get in. Yay. As far as the stuff with the boss,
don't tell him.
Don't tell them. Telling any, and I'm saying this as someone who has people that works for them. Telling your boss that you're quitting is a courtesy. And even you say you could do both anyway. And if that's what you decide to do, cool. If you decide next week that you don't even like this job and it has nothing to do with the school, quit. Unless, if you're in a financial place to quit. But it's any type, giving a 2 weeks notice, that is a courtesy to them. Unless it's, if, you feel like you're going to have a bad track record with them, don't put them down as a reference. But if you're going to school, you don't really need it anyway. They don't, unless they're going to, some jobs, they'll pay for school. That would be the only reason why I would tell them. But unless it's actually interfering with your job, then tell them. If it's not interfering, then whatever. And if it does interfere and you still want to work there, talk to them and figure it out later when it happens. You don't need to do it now.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Telling your boss, so much shit can go wrong. And with anything, something can fall through, blah, blah, whatever it is. And the courtesy, going out of your way to do that, that's not going to be repaid to you. It's the likelihood it's not. And so they can take it as a personal attack, feel slighted, something falls through. And then you're like, well, I was so kind. I let them know ahead of time. So they're definitely going to let me keep my job. No, you're gone. It's there. There's just they have so much more power. There's no reason to give them more. And I agree with everyone who's telling you that like you can't go to a school that's not essentially free or it's not like covering the cost of all of it. The difficulty with like art, and I say this because I know somebody closely who works in art, and she's like said over and over again that like it's so fucking hard, and it's one of the hardest things is like the level of privilege is kind of a prerequisite, because you have to have a master's to enter in pretty much any of the job fields, but you're not going to get paid like anything. And no matter how much you get promoted, you're never going to be making a huge amount of money. Like it's going to be relatively modest income. That's a lot of people's starter salaries. Like it's just, there's not a lot of money in it. And you can't do that with student loan debt. Like you just like genuinely can't, unless you come from a ton of money and you can cover it totally fine. But you said that you feel most comfortable in academia and that is like your happy place. So this to me doesn't sound like you're just going through the motions that you have to land a job in this field. So yeah, you shouldn't be paying all this money for it, and you should enjoy it. And like Melissa said, like you, until everybody else was kind of giving you these doubts there, you wanted to go there. And there is right now, you don't really have another option, and you don't have something that like, you could do instead. And the other options might be like, oh, you're going to spend a lot of money to do this and move out of state, whatever it is. And I don't know specifically where you want to get into after, like what you want to do after the school. But my friend who works in like the art world, it would be harder for her to like guarantee to get a promotion or a new job in the state that she lives in, because it's, oh, this person has died in this position in Missouri. Does anyone want to fill it? Like people are in like lifers in like these individual singular jobs. And so getting jobs from that, there's not really, you can try and get it in a certain state, but like that might not be the luxury there. So I don't think that school is the only chance you would have to move out of state. And I also don't think that going to school where you're at now means that you're going to stay where you're at now forever. Mm-hmm. I think that like you have to get this degree, and this is the means of doing it right now. And I don't think it's giving up or settling for anything. Like this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do in a big picture. This is how you're going to do it. And then who knows where you'll go from there. But I wouldn't pigeonhole yourself, especially in your mindset with that. And like, not to get all like woo-woo-y, but like, if you treat this as like, oh, I'm settling, I'm going to stay here forever, like you probably will get complacent, and you probably will. But I don't think that's a product of like the consequence of it. I think that would just be from losing momentum and losing motivation.
But if you want to stay there forever, like you end up just loving it, stay. Other people's opinions, fuck them.
Yeah. And a lot of it comes to, I've learned, when people are trying to tell you what you should be doing, and the means of what they're saying is like things that feel impossible or really expensive or like a huge hassle or a headache. A lot of the time people need other people to do the same things that they did, so they feel justified in doing it. Or
they think that they're giving advice to do better than them because it's things that they wish that they did.
Yeah. And it's like, not the case. Here was a struggle that I struggled with, or here's a struggle that I feel like I wish I did, and I didn't do that struggle, and I would like, it has so much less to do with you and so much more to do with them. That kind of advice is not, it's not universal.
That's all the advice I have for that. What about you, Megan?
That's all the advice I have. I just want to say I love your vibe. And I just think like, I don't know, masters in art. There's something so like, you know, Greta Gerwig movie, like things like sexy, like, and cool.
Yeah,
and just, like,
Barbie
mysterious. Movie. Exactly. A commentary on feminism.
All right. Now we're going to take our final break of the episode. And we're back. And it's time for Don't Blame Them. Megan's fist pumping and yawning. That's why there was a delayed woohoo.
That's who I am to my core. I am the embodiment of a yawning fist bump. Don't Blame Them is where listeners call in with their own advice pertaining to calls that we have played on previous episodes. So maybe they have personal experience, they've gone through it themselves, or they supported someone who went through something very similar to the original caller, or they just have some advice, or maybe they're an expert in the field. We have like someone who's an expert in dating women who comes on and is like, here's everything. That's how we learned about the dating app thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they can just offer additional insight that we might have missed.
And we're playing 2 this episode.
Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I was actually just listening to your replay episode with Jesse Smiles, and I was listening to the Don't Blame Them about like the frequent UTIs and everything, and I just wanted to share a little personal knowledge. I am an adult actress, so we get, STD tests all the time. And one of the new tests that we've been doing is for mycoplasma and ureaplasma. And basically how that shows up in people with vaginas is frequent UTIs, yeast infections, BV. So if this is something that's happening to any of you vagina havers out there, that might be something you want to look into with your doctor. It's basically a bacteria that exists in you. It can be good, it can be bad. And yeah, I just wanted to share this knowledge with everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye.
First of all, I'm honored that someone in your profession listens to this, and specifically you. Thank you so much.
We just got inside the actor studio. Like, there are people with certain professions who I'm taking all your fucking an expert on the field. Someone who works in adult film with a vagina is going to talk to me about my vagina. I'm trusting you like my goddamn fucking gynecologist.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I've never heard of any of that.
Me either. This is new to me. And probably when this episode originally came out, since you said it's something that new that y'all are being tested for, it wouldn't have been same information.
So kudos you, Melissa, for picking that episode as a replay to give the opportunity for this. I was randomly talking to Mats about this in like the other day or something like that. Oh, it was because I was, wow, I cannot stop talking about Brooke and Connor Mega Podcast. Like, not sponsored. But I know.
Fan behavior.
They're fucking funny. But Connor was saying something about pH and he like turns to Brooke. So Connor's a man, Brooke is a woman, and they're both cis. And Connor says like, oh, do you know what pH is? And Brooke like gives him this look like, what? Like, what do you know what pH is? Like, are you really asking me? And like, she's like, yeah. And he goes, really? Like, you actually like, and he has like no idea. And he's like, well, what does it stand for? And she was like, well, it's about like alkaline and like acidity. And he's like, oh, okay. And I showed it to Mats and I go, what are your thoughts? He goes, I don't know. Like, is she like supposed to know? And I was like, pH is like literally, I can't tell you any other context aside from my vagina. Like that is, if you told me like, what is the higher like pH, what is it relevant to? I'm like, vagina. And I was talking about that fact that like a lot of people will find that they have like chronic UTIs or yeast infections, and the whole thing of like, oh my God, like people with vaginas, like vaginas are dirty. And it's like, oh no, it's usually bacteria from penises that are unclean in vaginas, and vaginas are self-cleaning. And so they're working hard to get rid of it.
So y'all never just like did the little test in science class where you just took common things like fruit and stuff and then tested the pH levels on them?
Maybe, but when would I have done that? What grade?
Like junior high school.
Okay, that I should have done it then because it was middle school science. It's elementary school. We didn't do really any science.
Yeah, it wasn't elementary school.
Yeah, maybe we did, but I don't remember. But I just think of it in terms of like, how acidic is my vagina today? Okay. You know? So thank you for that.
Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I'm calling in for a Don't Blame Them for the episode posted on April 17th in response to the title call, asking my boyfriend if he would sleep with my friends. A little background into my relationship to provide context for my response. My fiance, 31, he, him, and I, 30, she, her, have been together for 2 years and engaged for 1. Prior to my fiance, my only other real relationship was a guy I dated all through college, and after our breakup, I, like the caller, Had a lot of experience with dating guys who didn't want to commit because they either, quote, didn't want a relationship or who I knew deep down were talking to other girls. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. Many of these guys got into relationships shortly after we fizzled out, and this made me further question my worth as a partner. My fiance and I met on Hinge and went on a proper date within 3 days of matching, which is a huge change for me since most of the previous guys I had dated just wanted to, quote, hang out on our dates. I rolled. Dinner felt awkward because he let me just blabber on for hours without saying much, but it was because he was so attentive and truly wanted to get to know me.
That's so
I mentioned
cute.
that I'd never received flowers before, and a week later, I got home from work to a flower delivery on my porch. I, too, used to make joking comments asking if his other girlfriend would be there when I wasn't present or if I felt he was taking too long to respond, because my previous relationship experiences left me feeling down on myself and doubtful of most men's intentions. One day, he brought to my attention how much it truly hurt him when I said these things, because he felt that his behavior did not warrant my responses, so he asked if he was doing something to make me feel this way or if it was just due to my past experiences. This made me do some self-reflecting and figure out where my insecurities were really coming from. He never reacted when I made these comments in conversation, and when he presented his feelings, he was gentle, respectful, and non-accusatory, which was a big green flag for me. We talked it out, and I found that many of my feelings came from the fact that our love languages didn't align. Therefore, we were showing love in ways that we best received it, not the ways the other person best received it. We are aware of each other's love languages, which are completely opposite of each other, so we work daily to meet each other's needs. This has been a game changer for us. We do still have moments where we don't agree on things, but I feel that's healthy and necessary in a relationship, as long as you can work together to resolve things in a respectful way. And this is coming from someone who prefers to push things under the rug and would rather please everyone else than rock the boat. So my overall advice would be, if you're both able and willing to work for this relationship, to pay attention to his reactions when you say these things. If he looks genuinely hurt and upset, you don't have anything to worry about. Most people will prove their guilt in their reactions, such as yelling, blowing up, gaslighting, and turning the scenario back on you. Second, like Meghan and Melisa said, try to have an open conversation with him when you're comfortable and in a good mental space about your feelings and his, because this may be affecting him and y'all's relationship more than you realize. Third, if you do feel like his actions aren't making you feel as secure as you need, try taking the love languages quiz. There truly may just be a disconnect there between you two. I hope this helps, and I'm sending you love, clarity, and healing while you navigate the situation. Bye, y'all.
Wonderful advice.
Really great advice. And also like really great. I love like when people are giving advice and it also is like mirroring like how a partner should respond, like a good partner should respond. So it's not just, oh, how I should respond to this, but also like, what should I be looking for someone else to respond and not like a fantasy person. Like this is like a real person and how he genuinely responded to that. And yeah, self-reflection is wildly important in those things because you end up, you can't also inadvertently push someone away because it goes, well, if you think I'm going to be cheated, if you think I'm already doing all of this, I might as well fucking do it, which that's not a good or a logical thought process to have, but that's it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy that like continues the cycle of it of like, well, see, I was right. And it's like, well, when someone thinks that you think they're a bad person, then sometimes people are like, okay, then I'll just be a bad person. But yeah, we'd love to get an update on that one because yeah, I would be really, because I mean, I thought about that more because of the different kinds of relationships he was having with people, you know? Well,
thank you so much.
We appreciate it. And that is it for our episode. We hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a review. Join our Patreon. Leaving a review is free. Joining our Patreon is almost free unless you work in a job that has a lot of money or you have lots of money and you're like, you know what? I want to give you so much money. We're not going to say no to that. We're trying to make it as accessible and affordable as possible, but that is not a command. We're not over here saying, please, no gifts. Please don't. Please, we don't need anything. No, if you want to give us what you want to give us.
Yes, I really appreciate gifts because I do enjoy the finer things in life.
She does. She really, really does. Every time I come across like one of those, like, look at this multi-million-dollar smart house. People are like, this is so excessive. Nobody needs this. I go, my friend would love to live there by herself. Like, yes, by herself. 15,000 square feet.
Oh God, the dream.
I know.
But just to do some house cleaning things, please take our survey once again. If you haven't, please do. You might have been driving to work on the way, listening to us, and now you're there and you're like, I need a little icebreaker to get my brain going for work. Take our little quiz.
Me time.
Takes 5 minutes. And then in addition, we're switching up, but am I wrong for this week? And so if you're listening on Monday, please, if you've watched Gilmore Girls and you have thoughts about the first episode, please send us your hot takes or just takes on the show. And we're going to vote on if you're wrong or not.
It's going to be so much fun. And this is also an excuse. If you haven't watched it or you haven't watched it in a while, watch it on back and send us over your thoughts, your feelings, hot, cold, warm takes. And Melissa's going to be watching it for the very first fucking time.
Maybe.
And I know people are excited about that.
Yeah. The first time that I remember all of it.
Yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces of the show. And that's why I call it the show about talking.
The talking show. It's one of those talkies.
So please send in your thoughts by Monday night.
And you can just send them to the But Am I Wrong pod, same email.
gmail.com. Yep. And then the following week, we'll be watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
The other the singing and dancing show without
There's
the singing
no
and dancing.
singing. I mean, there is singing and dancing, but it's because like in the second or third season, I don't remember which one, but there's a musical act but it's not a musical show.
Wow. It took you so long to finally admit that this is right.
But the things that you saw were all from the first. There's not a musical in it. She's a stand-up comedian, so at one point she goes on tour with somebody that is a singer.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that it was like High School Musical and they're putting on a musical at some point.
No.
It has the vibes, but yeah. So
I told you it's just
that for
very
the first time.
well directed, and they choreograph the movements. They're in big spaces and they move around the space to follow different characters.
It's very stagey, and I think that's part of the reason why.
Stagey, but you're following the camera is following the people, as opposed when you're on a stage, the people are moving. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it kind of gives me the vibe of like when Fox presents A Christmas Story Live. I did the live stream for that, but when it's like a network
it's not
show.
That though,
no, but they follow.
In it.
That's what I mean. But they walk with the.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Well, no,
I'm a big fan of when Fox does this. The Grease one, great, phenomenal. I watched it about 3 times in a row. Loved it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
In a row?
Big fan.
Are
yes.
you okay?
I literally watched it and then watched it again.
Melissa,
and then went to sleep. And then the next day I watched it again.
No. That's actually, of everything you've ever told me, that's the craziest thing you've ever said. That's
so good.
Who does
so good.
that?
Me. I enjoyed it.
My God. Wow. I've never even seen it once, but you've seen it enough for the both of us.
I've seen enough for 3 people.
Is this why you're big? Is that what you think of when you think of Vanessa Hudgens?
No, I think of High School Musical.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you saw it 3 times and you were so moved by her performance that suddenly she became who she was. Who is she in that?
If you tell me Vanessa Hudgens, I'm gonna think of High School Musical, then her talking about Coachella, and those are the 2 things.
Coachella's gonna come first for me, I think.
But I do commend her for doing the performance.
Oh yeah,
it was the day that her dad died.
She's like a performer through and through. She was also she was on Broadway for a bit, and people had rave reviews about her. Which she wasn't like a theater. She wasn't like one of those kids who started on Broadway. But she has that ethic, that work ethic, which is not standard for most people. It's hard.
Yeah,
she's good at it. Well,
all right. I think we've talked about Vanessa Hudgens more than enough.
I was going to say maybe the next one we'll dive into Vanessa Hudgens' filmography and pick something else that she's done.
We'll wait till Christmas to really get into it.
Oh, we get to see her in all of her glory. She's so good in it. Oh, so many versions. Anyways, goodbye.
Bye.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures.
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry, Jiminy.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.